Welcome to episode 266 of the Simple Flying Podcast. Well, the video edition. This week, Tom is back and will join Channing to discuss the following aviation news. First up will be Greenland's international security challenges. Then Tom and Channing discuss Korean Air's huge Boeing order. The third topic has to do with a certain airline's A380s returning to Frankfurt. And finally, the team will talk about the last Boeing 737 MAX being removed from storage. One last thing from me, Matthew, is that Tom and Channing record their podcast the week prior, and the video version isn't made until a few days later. As such, you might hear time references like this week, yesterday, or a few days ago. And, well, these references won't be all that accurate by the time you watch this video. But with all that out of the way, on with the show.
I wanted to start this week by talking about something that's been going on in Greenland, and that is that international flights at Nuuk airport have been suspended due to critical shortcomings in security screening procedures for international passengers. The Danish Transport Authority, responsible for overseeing aviation safety, has determined that the supplementary training for staff conducting security screening does not meet mandatory regulatory standards. Now, as a result, Nuuk's ability to handle international departures has been revoked until these training requirements are fully met. Now, this sudden suspension took place today on August 27th as we're recording this, disrupting both incoming and outgoing international flights. For example, United Airlines flight UA80, which departed Nuuk, bound for Nuuk, was forced to return mid-flight after the suspension was announced, and the return flight UA81 was also cancelled. Scandinavian Airlines, or SAS, also had issues with flight SK1293 and SK1294 between Copenhagen and Nuuk, and that affected around 350 passengers. Domestically, flights within Greenland continue to operate normally since the airport retains its certification for domestic security measures. However, this halt to international flights marks a significant setback for the airport, which recently underwent a major expansion, including the new runway and a terminal capable of accommodating wide-body aircraft such as Air Greenland's Airbus A330-800neo. Now, this expansion has enabled the introduction of direct transatlantic flights, notably the seasonal service by United Airlines to Nuuk that we mentioned turned around, and this was a major milestone in Greenland's international air connectivity. While the underlying cause relates to security certification deficiencies, there has been speculation about operational challenges at Nuuk Airport. For example, a recent incident in July supposedly saw security staff taking part in a reindeer hunt during a United Airlines flight's scheduled departure, causing delays. Now, it remains unclear whether such incidents have any connection to the current suspension, but this is not the first time that Nuuk has experienced similar interruptions, and a comparable suspension occurred roughly a year ago. So these repeated issues underscore how ensuring stringent security compliance remains a challenge in the Arctic aviation environment, and highlight the complexity of modernizing remote airports while maintaining safety standards.
Now, it's at this point that we should tell you that Nuuk Airport has reopened for international flights following its temporary suspension. According to Live and Let's Fly, it was on August 28th that certified security screeners flew in from Denmark and international screening was restored. Airport officials confirmed that the training gaps had been addressed.
Let's switch gears and talk about a pretty big announcement, big for Boeing and Korean Air. The companies announced on Monday the airline's intent to purchase over 100 Boeing fuel-efficient family of airplanes to modernize its fleet and support the carrier's growth as it fully integrates operations with Asiana Airlines. We know that's going to take over the next couple of years. Now, Korean's commitment will be the airline's largest ever order and Boeing's largest wide-body order from an Asian carrier. Now, the deal, as I said, it was announced on Monday. It's not finalized yet, but when it is finalized, it will mark Korean Air's first order for the 777-8F and will support an estimated 135,000 jobs across the U.S. It also does include narrow-body aircraft as well. So according to Boeing, Korean Air has ordered 20 777-9s, 25 787-10s, 50 737-10s, and 8 777-8 freighters. The 737 MAX 10, which we know is not even certified yet. I did some digging as well and learned that Korean Air first ordered the 737 MAX 8 in 2015. I'm just now learning that there were commitments for the MAX 8 that actually got switched to the MAX 10. So this is coming from Korean Air local media earlier this month on August 6th. And this news outlet reporting that Korean Air they originally signed a contract with Boeing in November 2015. 12 out of their 30 737 MAX 8 passenger aircraft that were scheduled to be introduced by the end of 2028 will be converted to the 737 MAX 10s. So the airline is deciding to upgrade their existing order for the 737 MAX 8 to the larger MAX 10. Now, Walter Cho, the chairman and CEO of Korean Air, said, quote, "This agreement with our long-standing partners, Boeing and GE, marks a pivotal moment for Korean Air. Acquiring these next-generation aircraft is the core of our fleet modernization strategy, delivering significant gains in fuel efficiency and enhancing the passenger experience across our global network. This investment is also a critical enabler for our future as a merged airline with Asiana to ensure that our combined carrier is one of the most competitive airlines in the industry." This is a pretty big order, 103 aircraft in total. According to Reuters, the deal is worth about $36.5 billion. So some great news for Boeing here, great news for Korean Air as well.
Well, speaking of Korean Air, I believe it is time for
Tom's A380 Podcast.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about Korean Air and a route specifically, and that's because it's bringing its iconic Airbus A380 Super Jumbo back to Frankfurt Airport this upcoming winter season, and that marks the aircraft's return to Europe's sixth busiest airport after an 11.5-year absence. According to the confirmed schedule, starting from October 26, 2025, Korean Air will operate 4 weekly round-trip flights between Seoul, Incheon, and Frankfurt using its A380 fleet. It's going to replace the smaller 777-300ER currently used on the route, and it's going to boost seat capacity by nearly 47%. Because while the 777 offers 277 seats, the 380 in Korean Air's configuration will accommodate 407 passengers. This includes 12 luxurious suites in a 121 layout, and they're on the lower deck, 94 business class seats on the upper deck, and 301 economy seats below. Now, the move is enhancing premium seating, obviously, with first and business class comprising 26% of the total capacity, up from 18% on the 777. Frankfurt's strong demand for travel from South Korea is a notable factor in the service's resumption, and according to our routes guy James, booking data for the past year shows that around 425,000 round-trip local passengers travelled on the Seoul to Frankfurt route, averaging over 1,100 travellers daily, and that makes it the second largest European market for South Korea after Paris Charles de Gaulle. Now, this robust connectivity reflects the sizable Korean community in the Rhine-Main metropolitan area, which is home to many Korean businesses and cultural hubs. Korean Air is joining other airlines operating A380 services to Frankfurt, and that includes Asiana Airlines. Now, Asiana is a subsidiary of which Korean Air holds a majority stake, and they resumed their 380 flights to Frankfurt in August. I think we talked about it a couple of weeks back, maybe, if I don't recall. But that was after a 5-year break compared to the 11-year break of Korean, or 11 and a half years even. Now, Emirates offers double daily flights from Dubai, and Singapore Airlines runs a daily A380 service from Singapore Changi. Historically, Frankfurt has been an important European destination for the 380, with several carriers flying the type there before the pandemic. And though Korean Air's return marks an exciting chapter, it's worth noting that deployments can be subject to change based on operational needs or demand fluctuations. And yeah, I think Korean Air's resumption of A380 flights to Frankfurt perfectly symbolizes a broader trend of airlines maximizing capacity and premium offerings on lucrative long-haul routes in the post-pandemic recovery. And it also shows that Frankfurt continues to be a major gateway connecting Europe and Asia. So I'm looking forward to having one more A380 back at Frankfurt. I would like a few more. So if you're listening in the Qatar Airways route planning department or the Etihad route planning department or even the British Airways route planning department. Maybe you need to do some more crew training on it. Who knows?
Something else that is an exciting sight is for Boeing, and specifically its staff and workers, teammates rather, I should say, at the Moses Lake facility. This is something that we reported on earlier this week as well. Boeing recently flying out of Moses Lake the last 737 MAX among a specific group of more than 400 jets that were stored at that facility since the 2019 grounding. This marking a major milestone along with the narrow-body aircraft's program's recovery, which we know it's been a long time coming for Boeing to kind of get the MAX back up on its feet. So according to an internal company report from Boeing News Now and exclusively reported by Flight Global, the company said, quote, teammates gathered to watch the final storage 737 MAX depart Moses Lake, Washington in mid-August, closing a key chapter in the 737's history and showing the single-aisle airplane program's progress. The company went on to say, with this departure, all 737 MAX airplanes stored beginning in 2019 have been reactivated for delivery, marking the beginning of the end for the 737 MAX storage operations, which is a 6-year effort involving more than 450 737 MAX airplanes. Now, as I kind of mentioned earlier, Boeing began accumulating the stored MAX jets amid its grounding that was longer than the company expected it was going to be. But of course, that inventory swelled. It got bigger as delivery stalled, and due to factors including the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as geopolitical tensions with China, and as we know, Boeing's need to completely rework and address quality problems, which we know more recently has to do with the MAX aft pressure bulkhead issues as well. So of the 450 stored undelivered jets, some 200 were stored at other sites. So it wasn't just 450 that were all in Moses Lake, Washington. There were some stored in San Antonio, Texas, as well as Victorville, California, and in the Puget Sound region. Boeing had already removed all of those stored jets at those sites, but had not, up until this month, cleared the last of the stored 737 MAXs from Moses Lake. Now, the last aircraft to leave Moses Lake has line number 7813. Interesting to note that that specific airframe first flew in November 2019, and it's now scheduled for delivery this year to Air China.
And wait, how old does that make that? That's 6 years old now,
yeah,
right?
Well, right, yeah, 6 years old. If it first flew in November 19, it was probably manufactured a few months before that. Yeah, and it's just now being delivered. I wonder, does it still have the new plane smell? I mean, maybe it does because haven't been any passengers on it, but that's so interesting that, it's a new aircraft and it's 6 years old.
I remember as well at the time there was lots of issues with, time in service or, your maintenance. So much has to be done on how much it's flown, but also, some maintenance has to be done every 2 years,
right?
Say, and it all got out of whack because of this. So I wonder what it's like because, I also wonder, we say aircraft have a lifespan of about 30 years, but I wonder if this is going to be operating until it's super old because,
right.
It's still a brand new aircraft, really.
Now that all of the aircraft are gone, what is the Moses Lake team going to do now? Well, there's always work at hand, of course. So the team is going to now focus on other projects, which includes preparing the 737 MAX 7s and MAX 10s for delivery once they are certified, and as well as serving as additional capacity for the 737 program. So Boeing still is saying that they're expecting the FAA will certify the MAX 7 and MAX 10 in 2026. So we'll have to watch the space and see what happens.
Yep. I will believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Same with the 777. Fingers crossed for them.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We hope you enjoyed it, and we welcome any feedback that you might have at editorial@simpleflying.com.
For more great content, you can visit our website at simpleflying.com or find us on social media. Simply search for Simple Flying.
And if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a rating on your favorite podcast player. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
In addition to our daily YouTube videos, Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles and a podcast every week. Visit simpleflying.com.